and welcome to Design or Design. If you're here for the first time, hi, my name is Maria. I talk about fashion, I analyze the runways, and show you guys a nice visual report of everything. So if you don't have the time to watch all of the runway shows, you can just rely on me and watch the sections that you're actually interested in. So today we're going to be talking about the shoe trends. I know it's one of you guys' favorites, so hopefully I will not disappoint you. We're heading into the fall winter months. I'll be more concentrating on more of a warmer footwear, but I will also touch on some of the lighter shoe trends that are going to be happening this autumn winter 2024. And before we start, just a quick reminder to turn off the subtitles because most of the shoes are going to be at the bottom of the screen, so it will be hard for you to see them if you have subtitles. You can do it now. Just hit that button that looks like a rectangles with little lines at the bottom. If it's underlined in red, that means that the closed captions are on. Just turn it back off. Okay, let's get into it. First, I'm talking about my favorite trend. It's been with us for a while, and it's the thigh high. So high indeed that even in a micro skirt, we still don't see the end. Maybe they're pants like in Missoni here, or maybe are just that tall. We see them really tight to the leg, almost like a tight, but we also see them being a little bit more of a slouchy boot as well. These are very versatile as they can be worn with many different things. As I mentioned, the really short shorts, short skirts, you can layer it with maybe something much longer. Here in Balenciaga, we see them styled with the skinny jeans. I know, how dare they. My favorite stylization would be the Chloe show, where they use really flowy, transparent, even lacy, very feminine dresses and had that contrast of what we usually think of more of a sexy boot, a thigh high, mixed in with this light femininity, which I just loved. We also see it in a variety of different outfits and styles. We see it being layered as a bottom layer, overlapping with maybe some Bermuda shorts or a longer coat. We also see this in men's as well. We're seeing this in Versace, worn by men too. So this is not just a trend for women, which is something refreshing right now. Yeah, here we see it more like a fisherman boot as well. In Ferragamo show, we also see plenty of these boots in Gucci in variety of colors, but they're a little bit more on a voluminous side, but still quite structured. Yes, it is quite hard to find a boot that would actually be really comfortable in that way because it's not very stretchy, and if you have thicker thighs or thicker calves, sometimes these boots just don't work. For me, the only boots like this that work would be more of a stretchy sock kind of a situation. Here we once again see it in Balenciaga in variety of colors. But anyways, as I touched point on that slouchiness, we do see quite a variety of really outrageously voluminous boots like we see right here in Balenciaga. I don't even know how they work. Here in Alexander McQueen had more of a balloon-esque. We will return to that as well. Givenchy also having more volume in the calf. I'm not sure if this is the best boot to be worn, especially if you're trying to look a little bit more slimmed down, just because usually by showing your ankles, it makes your frame look a little bit more slender. But if you do have really great slender upper legs, then you'll be just fine rocking this trend. And as I mentioned, Rick Owens, those balloon ones are quite interesting. Anyways, moving on to knee-high boots. They're with us for a few seasons now and they're still going strong. Really simple. Usually a pointed toe was the case, and variety of colors and textures, some a little bit more structured, some a little bit more of like really tight sock situation. We also seen some rider boots like in the D squared show. We have plenty of examples here. Roberta Cavalli, Prada, and many more shows. These are definitely one of the go-to boots for fall winter, as they do protect your leg a little bit more from the elements depending on the weather you're in. Maybe you would go for something a little bit on a combat boot side if you'd like it to be a rider boots in Celine and Dior, as well as Fendi and Gucci shows. Actually, we do see a lot of equestrian kind of theme going throughout the majority of the shows, and we will see a little nod to that in another trend that I'll be talking about today, but here we are. Now let's talk about a little bit of a lighter shoe, and that's a slingback. Yes, we've seen them quite some time in more of a kitten heel format with a slingback. This time around, we still see them now, but sometimes they were a little bit on a higher heel. I know that there's this tendency of younger generation to abandon high heels altogether, but I feel like in special situations, a high heel is very elegant and beautiful shoe to wear. Balmain even had them on huge platforms, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. Carolina Herrera, more of a very simple, elegant, and classical format. Dolce & Gabbana as well, and a nice pointed toe stiletto slingback. And in Gucci, there were two different types, either that elegant pointed toe slingback or a platform loafer. Okay, next one we're going to be talking about is fringe, maybe even a little bit beyond fringe. So in Isabel Marant, we have more of a Western themed with a little bit more slouchy boot with the leather fringe. We had this fringe on a high heel. Alexander McQueen quite scared me. Those fringed loafers look like huge spiders on their feet. Maybe a great Halloween edition. But we've also seen this fringe going a little bit more elegant, a little bit more delicate, which is really weird for fall winter. Like we've seen here in David Coma, having these feathers on the shoes and it being really close to the ground. D squared here going for more of a moon boot furry situation. Erdem here, another really interesting format. This makes your foot look really wide. This is not something that we have seen or actually wanted our feet to look like, almost like a duck foot or a snowshoe. Here we see another version of this. So we see this in a variety of runways. Here on the Ferragamo, we have more like a ponytail escaping the shoe or full-on cheerleader pom-pom. These are crazy. These are definitely statement shoes. On a smaller version, a little bit less of texture, we see a little bit of a teddy coat on Dress Van Noten, as well as in Loewe shows with these interesting pictures on the boots. Next one I'm going to be talking about is bedazzled shoes, bedazzled boots. We see a little bit more accessorized shoes with maybe some buckles or maybe some clips. We see maybe some metallized detailing on the boot. Maybe it's the tip of a pointed toe shoe. Maybe it's the metallic heel. Here in Burberry, there's buckles and little other details. Chloe had thigh-high boots with studded detailing, as well as Gucci loafers in the men's show. Versace had some ankle detailing as well as buckles on the shoes as well. It is maybe like a little micro trend, but something to keep your eye out. Next, I want to be talking about the colors that the shoes were in. And as I talked about the color trends a few weeks ago, we will for sure be seeing those colors on the runway. And first one would be the brown boot. Yes, it's very classical, but we couldn't really see it for a while. Maybe just the previous season started trinkle it in, but we see it in variety of shoes, whether it's a thigh high, a knee high boot, or it's maybe just a stiletto. This is definitely a safe one to go for. It is a neutral, and if you do end up getting it, I don't think it's gonna go out of style completely. It's not gonna be a quick trend. That is what I'm getting to. We also see this being styled in a quite a surprising, but not a really surprising way, of having the black outfit with some brown shoes, kind of rule-breaking styling. Next one that we see a lot on the runways is the green, olive green, really like swampy green colors on the runways as well. I feel like this one is not gonna stand out as much once the trend passes, so it's a pretty safe bet. One more color that I've seen all over is of course red. I feel like red shoe is always there. It doesn't go away and I love it. We've seen it in maybe a JW Anderson in more of a red stiletto format. We've also seen it more of a boot format as well, even a super tall thigh high boots, which are my favorite and I wear them quite a lot. We're out there like a pop of color as well as part of a full-on red looks as well. So you guys have something to experiment for sure if you're fan of these colors. And if not for red, there were plenty of other colors on the runways, like in Balmain, we've seen a bunch of oranges, we've seen in Alaya more of blue pops of colors, and in Etro, we've seen some more of a yellow / pinkish colors. And again, back with the blues in Louis Vuitton and some more pastel colors in Prada. Okay, we are going Western. There have been a Western side of things for a while. Elie Saab here had most of the boots in a more Westernized format. Even Schiaparelli had more of that pointed toe and stable heel. We also see some of these in Etro, and this boot usually gives off this very boho vibes. If that is your style, then go ahead, this is definitely for you. We're still seeing the continuation of a Western theme in Louis Vuitton men's show, which is quite fun indeed. But let's move on to a very comfortable trend, a slipper or a mule if you're a little bit more fashion talk related. We do see some really close to house slippers shoes out there, like in JW Anderson as well, and in Stella McCartney, Versace, and so many other shows, just going for that slipper feel. Balenciaga had actual slippers. Like, these are hotel level slippers that you usually end up taking in your suitcase. Miu Miu as well. If you love comfort and this is something that you value a lot, then this would be a trend for you for sure. But let's talk about actual variability. Like, I'm not gonna go outside in my household slippers. We are talking about mules, maybe a little bit elevated on a platform or a kitten heel, something that easily slide in. This is maybe a little bit of a earlier fall shoe. Maybe if you're going on a vacation, then Jacquemus would be your bet right here with some very lovely double-decker mules. Marc Jacobs had a fun time with some oversized shoes like that. Loewe and Schiaparelli having fun with those as well. Now let's talk about platforms, and we've seen quite a few of those. Usually I really love platforms for fall winter as they do elevate you above all the puddles and etc. That is actually how they were created, in order to elevate you from all the mud and dirt that was on the streets of medieval times. But anyways, here we see them even going back to 2010 style. Yes, you're seeing this correctly. More of a platformed heel. I didn't realize that it would come back this early, but it's been 10 years, so maybe it's time. We see this in Gucci, as I've mentioned before, more of a loafer style platform shoe with a heel. Very chunky, an interesting touch. Rick Owens, of course, their classic shoe. Alexander McQueen had some interesting equestrian inspirations for sure. We also see more of a flat shoe on a platform, as well as more of a wedge like here in Burberry. Another wedge in Saint Laurent, and Undercover having a unique heel wedge situation. Let's move on to a pointed shoe. I know it's not really a trend, but I wanted to discuss it just because we don't really see a lot of squared off toe. Everything is a little bit more pointed, and that is a great news for us, as a pointed toe usually gives us a little bit more of length. It stretches us out. It's really great for any body type, unless you are afraid of making your foot look longer. Then avoid pointed toe flats. You can still wear pointed toe heels, but the flats do make your foot longer. Yeah. Anyways, the reason I've put it here and I really wanted to discuss it with you guys is because it was not only for ladies. Pointed toe for men. Yes, I know. We didn't really have that much of that before, but Alexander McQueen having more of that really pointed boot for guys. Balenciaga here as well, having some really dramatic pointed toe, and Marc Jacobs with those pointed clogs. Very interesting. All right, you guys, now moving on to something maybe a little bit more practical for fall winter, and it would be the combat boots, chunkier boot slash biker boot. So we see either laces or just more of, as I mentioned, the biker boot, maybe a little bit of a buckle situation on the runways. These are great, so versatile for this weather, and really comfortable and warm to wear. Wanted to point out a few details of the shoes. They're a little bit more on a voluminous side. If maybe a few years back we were going for a combat boot that is a little bit slender, a little bit smaller, here we're almost going like a clown size, like here in Balenciaga, before in Alexander McQueen, and we're still going to see a few of these chunkier, really odd looking bulky shoes. D-square here, just going for a worker boot. Kenzo, once again, Loewe had the combination of that biker boot and floral dresses. We see Givenchy having really masculine outfits with these combat boots. Ferragamo pairing it with more of tailored blazers and shorts. Dion Lee here as well with a little bit more of deconstruction. Off-white having more of a street style effect here. And another trend that I wanted to touch base on is going off from the patterns trends, and it's a big one. It's the animal print printed shoes. So we see a lot of leopard print, we see a lot of snake crocodile print, and we also see some zebra prints from Jacquemus. And it is a fun way to spice things up, to have a statement shoe not in a color but in a pattern format, and that is something I'm here for and will definitely try to invest in. As far as some micro trends that are trickling from the previous seasons, we see a little bit of the metallics, more in the silvers rather than than anything else. Like here in Stella McCartney, we also see it in Missoni and a few more shows. So if you still have these shoes, don't be frightened to take them out of your closet and still wear them. They will definitely still be relevant this season. Here's a section if you love sneakers. We see the continuation of more of a sleek, a little bit on a retro side sneaker. We see waves of this in social media of everybody wearing Adidas Samba, and I'm not sure if you should invest into those just because there's so many out of there. Maybe go for something else. Like here we see a comeback Converse shoes in Undercover and in Balenciaga, but we do see a little bit of a change of going back into a little bit more of a chunkier sneaker like here in Off-White. And if the fashion is going one way, Balenciaga is going completely opposite way of making the most chunkiest, the most ridiculous shoes out there. Just look at them. You can definitely go through some winter storm in these because you will not be sinking. The platforms are so ridiculously wide that, yeah, I think these are going to be okay for Canadian winters. All right, now let's get back and we're going to be talking about loafers. This is a very classic shoe that has been with us for a few seasons. It's just because it is classical. We've seen it in more of that because of the old money trend and just the preppy aesthetic. We've seen so many varieties of these in Gucci. They have the medium platform. I know we've seen a lot of the chunkier side platform. I feel like it's still safe for them to be worn, as well as a thinner one. So you do you. Like for instance, I prefer a chunkier platform because I'm a little bit of a chunkier person, and for me it just looks a lot more put together rather than if I have really tiny loafers, in which case my feet look too small. Anyways, we've seen these loafers as well on a little bit of a heel like in Gucci that we talked about on a huge platform, but we also see them in a few shows. Had the two-tone spectators, ones like here in Dior. So it is definitely something to look out for. I guess if you have plenty of these loafers, you can go for that more like the Oxford pump and the monk strap in the Miu Miu show, which is quite interesting. Another classical shoe would be the Mary Janes, and these were ranging from very chunky, like in Celine, to a little bit more high fashioned, like in Etro and Prada shows. These are definitely a little bit more of a comfortable shoe to wear, especially if you're wearing it around the office, as it gives you a little bit more control over your shoe and just keeps it in place. We also see these in flats as well, like in Versace and Chloe as well. Dress Van Noten and a few more shows had the T-strap, which is another really convenient way of having the shoe be a little bit more easier to wear, especially in high heels. But anyways, if you live in a more warmer climate and an open toe is something that you can actually do, then there were quite a few really strappy, very minimal high heels out there that you can definitely wear with basically anything. They are really easy to introduce into any outfit. And to finish it up, let's talk about some styling of shoes with tights. So we've seen a lot of examples of tights matching the color of the shoe, whether it being like a brown tight with a brown heel, black tights with black shoes as well, or maybe Missoni here we have pattern tight with a pattern shoe that is matching perfectly. We also see more of a extremes of maybe contrasting tights with shoes, but if you want to create that really long and slender silhouette, maybe give yourself a few more inches, then matching your tights to your shoes is a very smart move to make, as the eye doesn't have that many spots to take a break and is not separating everything. But as I mentioned, there were some examples here, like even wearing white socks with some black shoes, or having some pattern tights with a colored shoe from the pattern. There you have it, an incredibly detailed list of everything with plenty of visuals, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if there is something that you want me to cover. I really appreciate you watching to the end. If you did, you might as well give me a like, maybe write a little nice comment down below, and if you're not already, please do subscribe. All of these things help me out so much. These videos take me long, and I really want to continue doing these. You can also check out my Instagram page where I share my daily outfits with you guys. Usually I try to make them a little bit more relevant to what I'm talking about here, and it's so fun to see you guys and your style as well. Just give me a message that you're there from YouTube. But other than that, I hope you're having an amazing day and you're not too stressed because of the new season. I quite enjoy the fashion aspect of it. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Stay classy. Bye.